Hello student, welcome to our physics discussion, that is physics in a smart way. So let us start with a topic that is scalar and vectors, and when I say let us start, that is supposed to be the first topic wherever and whenever any discussion at 11th physics or intermediate level physics is concerned. This is against your textbook, especially when you say NCERT and all, because they start with the acquaintance of physical quantities and all that, physical world measurement and all that. But deliberately I have put up these things, measurement and all those, to a later date. Of course, this year we have to discuss that. My logic was that when you do not know all the physical quantities, so describe them and how to measure them and all those things will be futile, it will be useless. You are not so clear on a physical quantity, which is electric field intensity. Or if I take another, that is magnetic induction, you also may not know. There is a maximum chance that you would not know. So if I consider their measurement and all those things, then maybe the student will be forced to mug up all those things, and that is very seriously against the spirit of physics. So I am putting off by some months so that we can get aware of those physical quantities. Then we can have a discussion. At the same time, the chapter measurement also is attached to another issue, that is errors and all those aspects. We know whenever we measure something, error is bound to creep in. If you consider measurement, then error is to be there. And as you have discussed in some of our videos, I don't remember exactly, you can search. So there, physics is usually branded as the science of approximate measurement. You cannot exactly measure it. So you cannot exactly measure it, then there is bound to be some error. And when error comes in, the cause of the error may be, there are several causes. We shall be discussing it when we take that. But briefly, the cause can be that your measuring instrument is crude. It cannot measure a very fine thing. And mostly we see that. Second is that you may be careless or something like that. Maybe there is not sufficient light and all that. You cannot properly see it. So many different errors can come in. And we also got a topic which deals with all those errors, how to rectify them, how to minimize them, and all those things. So those things will be coming at a later date. And so far as scalar and vectors are concerned, you are introduced to the scalar and vector somehow. I don't know exactly at the school level, and I'm not so aware of the school curriculum nowadays. And the scalar and vectors, they are introduced to you in the topic of kinematics. That is bit limited in the way they are vectorally discussed from kinematic viewpoint. But the thing is that scalars and vectors, if a student is not given full awareness, complete idea, my point is that if a student doesn't know how to handle vectors efficiently, then at every stage he or she will be faltering, he or she will be having some problems. So thereby, usually, whenever scalar and whenever physics comes in, the first topic, as we old-timers believe, scalar and vector must be the first one should be discussed. So we are starting with scalar and vectors. Okay. So when you compare these two, scalar and vectors, we know the physical quantity which is simpler or which we must touch first is scalar. Scalar. So for us, scalar is there compared to a vector that is simple because vector quantity, as you know, that is having two aspects. One is magnitude, other is direction, but a scalar, in contrast to a vector, has got only magnitude. But we know our basic purpose is to deal with them physically. In physics, we must use them, and we know that is a science. We are in a science where you can be utilizing them. You hope to get some benefit out of them. Maybe the benefit in the form of knowledge, maybe the benefit in the form of practicality. That is like that. So first of all, we consider scalar. Then we can go to a vector. So when you come down to a scalar, the first issue that comes in, how to deal with a scalar. You may be wondering, the teacher says how to deal with a scalar, how to deal with a scalar. But thing is that, how to use that. And when somebody says how to use a scalar for our benefit, for our convenience, or scientifically, so there the word comes in is how to manipulate a scalar, or how to operate with a scalar. Then the thing that comes in is mathematics, because when we say how to operate a scalar, we do not take those words, or how to manipulate a scalar, we don't take those words socially. Those are scientifically. Scientific manipulation, we know that is different from social manipulation, and we also know mathematics is the language of physics. So basically that means when we are dealing with a scalar or maybe a vector, but first concentrate on scalar. Scalar, how to deal with mathematically. So when we use those words, when we discuss those things, how to manipulate mathematically, mathematical manipulation is usually through mathematical operations. When I say mathematical operation, you may go back to your school level. We know there are several operations we have been taught. There are many operations, but basically here that first operation that we must be knowing, that is addition and subtraction, second is multiplication, and fourth one is division. These are basic our mathematical operators which help us to operate with a physical quantity, basically how to use them. Here operation means use. So we consider a scalar and consider those operations one by one, how one must be careful or what care must be taken when one is involved with these operations. So first operation, that is addition. So basically our job is how to add a scalar with another scalar. You know it very well and you can realize it immediately that whenever we are considering addition of a scalar quantity with another scalar, we confine ourselves to scalars at present. Then the first rule that one must have is that only same type of scalars can be added. You know several examples of scalars. If I ask you, most of you can give several examples like length, mass, all those things, speed. We know when I am adding a length with a mass, that gives us something which is incomprehensible. That gives us a meaningless result. So the first rule of addition is that when you are adding a length, then a length can be added. The same thing is valid only, the same thing is valid for subtraction also. Subtraction also. A scalar can be added with another scalar, or scalar can be subtracted from another scalar, but same type of scalar must be involved. Different type of scalars, if you add them or subtract them, they conveys no meaning. So same type of scalars, same type of quantities, they must be added or subtracted. Okay. Otherwise, the rule of addition is just like the rule of numbers that you are learning at your class 2, class 3, class 4, or class 5 level. Okay. I'm adding a length of 2 meters with another length of 3 meters. So that gives us 2 plus 3, that is 5 meters. So the rule is arithmetic. The rule is arithmetic here. Okay. But the only precaution you have to take is that same type of quantity have to be involved. If I am adding a mass, then a mass can be added or subtracted from another mass. You cannot deal with mass and length or mass and volume and add them or subtract them, because those things will be meaningless. Okay. Multiplication, so far as it is there, the third thing is that we may not obey this rule. The same type of quantities that we are discussing, that we have discussed in the context of addition and subtraction, you can multiply different type of scalars. When I am multiplying the length or height of a substance, let us say brick. If I multiply its base area with height, then volume of the brick will be coming in. Volume of the brick will be coming in. Okay. So here in case of multiplication and division, we may take different type of quantities, and still the rule will hold good. Okay. But here multiplication and division is also, it should be done the way you have learned at the school level. You have learned at the school level, just like as I told you, if you multiply base area with the height of a rectangular solid, then volume is to be coming in. If you divide the mass with density, then or mass with volume, then we'll be getting density and all those things. So my basic point is that all these mathematical manipulations that we are engaged with when dealing with scalar, basically we have to fall back upon our school level ideas, only some small precautions, that in case of addition and subtraction, only same type of scalars we have to deal with. But in case of multiplication and division, that rule is relaxed. We can take different type of quantities. And here you should take different type of quantity, because if I take same type of quantity in case of multiplication and division, I multiply length with another length, then that gives you length square. That may not be so meaningful or so useful to you. Okay. So here we multiply, in case of multiplication and division, we multiply different type of quantities to get a new quantity, which may be of a altogether different type. So that is about the mathematical manipulation or the mathematical operation. When I say manipulation may be a bad word. Scalar may be angry with me. Okay, or physical quantities may be angry with me. We can say operations with scalars. Okay, you know it, and we cannot stay long because that will be a wastage of time. We move over to vectors. So when you move over to vectors, let me clear up the space and then we can move over to vectors. Okay, the same operation we shall be considering. Okay, we now consider vector, and in case of vector, as you know, the same basic mathematical operations you have to know: how to add a vector with another vector, how to subtract a vector from another vector, how to multiply vectors, and how to divide. Okay, if it is possible. Because if somebody doesn't know how to know all these operations or mathematical operations, then knowing a vector will be completely useless, will be completely of no value at all. So first of all, we consider to vector addition or addition of vectors. So perhaps vector addition is there. You know, in case of scalars, just like the rule was that the same rule is valid, same type of vectors can be added or subtracted. That is valid for subtraction also. But first of all, I am considering addition. So in case of addition, only same type of vectors can be added. If I ask you to give some examples, then readily you must have some vectors in your mind. You may comprehend them, those or not fully. At this stage, it will be slightly difficult to comprehend, but you know, it's not that you do not know. So a velocity can be added with another velocity. A force can be added or subtracted from another force. But if you add a force with a velocity, then that is completely meaningless. That yields in nothing meaningful. So same rule is valid. The same type of quantities, same type of vectors can be added or subtracted. Okay, I have marked addition. I'll be going to subtraction bit later on, but because subtraction follows the same rule, I have discussed that. And most of us do know that whenever you are considering, whenever you are presenting a vector, just like for a scalar, the presentation is very easy. For a scalar, I got a mass of 2 kg. Simply I say the symbol for mass, most people take M, capital M or small m, that is 2 kg. So this 2 is the basic representative, and along with that you got unit, that is kg, and to write in very short way, we have put down a symbol m equal to 2 kg. So that is the basic representation of a scalar. But how to present a vector? How to present a vector pictorially? My point is that in most of your jobs in physics and in natural science, basically, most of the quantities, most of the effects and all those things, you may not be able to see it directly. So the question comes in, if we are not able to see it, how we can be able to have a clear mental picture on it? Okay, our mind has got a TV screen. If the things do not run very well there, then we'll be having difficulty in comprehending, in guessing about the final result, or in guessing about what will be the run of the events and all those things. So mental picture is clear. And for mental picture, visibility is a must, because a human mind is more means susceptible to figures than to numbers, than to other things like number and all that. So for that, we present our teachers, our books, they present a vector, and that is the pictorial representation of a vector. So whenever we present a vector, we present it by an arrow. As most of you do know, you have learned that at your school level. So when we present it by an arrow, here arrow gives two things. First of all, arrowhead. Arrow has got a head or tail. Arrowhead gives the direction of the vector, because vector is a physical quantity having magnitude and direction. I need not remind you. So arrowhead gives the direction, and length of the arrow gives the magnitude. Length of the arrow gives the magnitude. So this arrow type of representation is very good, or is very convenient to present a vector, or to have a pictorial representation of a vector. Okay, because an arrow has got two things. One is the direction that the arrow is pointing, that is the direction of arrowhead. Second is the length of the arrow. The length gives the magnitude, and the arrowhead shows the direction in which the vector is pointing at. So I got a vector, let us say that is A. I got a vector that is A. You can write A, or you can put a small arrowhead. That when we were class 11 students, the teacher were forcing us to put a vector sign. Nowadays, I see in your books and all those things, it is not so strict, okay? And here it should be so, because the moment we have put in an arrow, so that is futile, okay. You can keep it, you can skip it, no problem, the choice is yours. That is another vector, let us say that is B. Same type of vector, we know same type of vector can be added. That is another vector, that is B, okay. B must be having its direction, let us say that is like this, that is vector B. And the length of the vector must be showing its magnitude. Now, our job is to find out what will be the result if somebody adds A and B. This thing, mostly we brand it as resultant, because we use the word resultant starts with the letter R. And obviously we know when I am adding a vector with another vector, my expectation is to have another vector. Okay, so thereby we are interested to find when you add A vector with B vector, so what will be the result, and we brand that as a resultant vector, that is R vector. And here some of you may be knowing the rules is that and our books and teachers, they say that first of all, in case of addition, serial order doesn't count. We know A plus B vector will be giving you the same result if somebody says that is B plus A result. But don't use that in case of subtraction, multiplication, or something like that. In case of addition only, it is valid. Serial order doesn't count. A plus B vector will be yielding the same thing if you consider B plus A vector. Which one is first, which one is second, doesn't matter if you are strictly in addition. And they give us the rule is that, let me clear up some space or else we cannot write something. So I am adding A vector with B vector. Your rule says that you consider any one of them as the first vector. Let us say I am considering A as the first vector. That is the head of A. That is the head of A. And that is the tail of A. Okay. In layman's language. So I am writing or creating A vector again. But when you are recreating A vector again, you have to be careful because a vector has got two aspects. One is magnitude, second is direction. Direction is kept intact, A was towards right. I am keeping a vector like this, okay? And I must be careful to write the same length of the arrow. So if it is A vector, then this qualifies to be taken as A vector. That is the head of A vector, that is the tail of A vector. Now, our basic job was to add A with B. You take B vector, you shift B vector, or you create B vector, recreate B vector rather, so that B vector seems to start from the head of the A vector. That means the tail of B must be coinciding with head of A. And as usual, I have to be careful because a vector has got two aspects. One is magnitude, second is direction. And I have to keep the line length same, just like B, as earlier I have done. Direction also must be kept intact. So once you draw, so the rule is you take the first vector from the head of the first vector must be coinciding the tail of at the head of the first vector must be coinciding the tail of the second vector, or from the head of the first vector the tail vector should start out. Okay. If there is any other vector like C or like that, the same rule is valid. From the head of the second vector should start out the third vector. Not initially, but at this stage we got only two vectors. So here, as our books say, the resultant will be a vector, or addition result will be a vector which starts from the tail of the first vector and ends at the head of the last vector. Okay. The resultant will be drawn, or the addition result of A and B will be starting from the tail of the first vector and ending at the head of the second vector. That is the rule. My point is, or The issue is that these things you know, most of you do know, okay? Because our teacher says so, our book says so. But thing is that we are in physics. Physics is a logical subject. Because a teacher says so, book says so, why I'll accept that vectors are to be added in this way. Think about the situation. Okay, why a student cannot consider the resultant as the vector which is starting from the head of the second vector and going to the tail of the first vector. Okay, why a student cannot consider the resultant which will be starting from the middle of the A and going to somewhere else. So thing is that you have to realize the idea. We know knowing a thing is different from realizing a thing. Most of us, most of the people, I am not talking of your generation, senior generation, our generation, they realize, they know many great scriptures in all the religions, but do they follow? Do they follow it by heart? Answer is no. Otherwise, you won't be having so many thefts, so many gundagiri, and so many other things, bad things happening in society. So knowing a thing and realizing are two different aspects. So you know vector addition, most of you might be knowing vector addition is done in that way. But realizing why a vector addition will be in that way is something different, and that is the way of physics. Knowing something is not the way of physics, and mugging up something is not the way of physics. Anyway, our video will be too long. Let me stop here. In my next video, I'll be elaborating why for a vector addition, we follow that rule. Because until unless you know it, then you cannot realize the thing, and then physics will be going in a bad way. Your physics will be in a very bad way. Okay, that is against the spirit of the physics. That is against the great minds like Albert Einstein, Enrico Fermi, Richard Feynman, all those things, who have worked relentlessly in this field and given us some very beautiful ideas, beautiful things, and that you cannot realize if you start being analytical, if you stop being analytical from this stage. Okay, so thank you. Okay, for your patience. Let us wait for the next video or subsequent video. There we shall be discussing all those things. बहुत कम है लग रहे